Good evening and welcome to the Pasco City Council regular meeting of Monday, May 6th of 2024. Some days I wish it was only April and some days I guess I wish it was June. City Council thanks you for being a part of city government. At meetings, City Council takes formal action on items, holds public hearings, and conducts other city business. Agenda packets are available online at the City of Pasco's website, www.pasco-wa.gov/agenda. For those in attendance, as you walk in, immediately to your right, next to both of our chiefs, we've got the agendas as well as any sign-in for comment if you need a paper copy. This meeting is being televised live on PSC TV channel 191. On Spectrum Cable in Pasco and Richland, and is streamed on the city's Facebook page, website, YouTube channel, and on GoToWebinar. This and previous council meeting videos available on the city's website. Public may submit their comments or ask questions by contacting city manager, clerk, or by using the Pasco app as well. Lastly, we'd like to announce the presence of Mr. Cruz, who is here as our Spanish interpreter. Mr. Cruz, I know you're a familiar face. Yep, dude waving by the door. If you need interpretive assistance in the Spanish language, reach out to Mr. Cruz. We've got headsets, and he is a man of many talents amongst translating on the fly. So I appreciate your efforts, as does the rest of council, Mr. Cruz. With that, let's start this meeting with Miss Debbie.
All right. Roll call for council members: Barajas,
Present.
Blaisdell,
Present.
Grimm,
Here.
Harpster,
Here. Present.
Perales,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Present.
and Mayor Serrano.
I am present. And with that, we're all present and accounted for. So if you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. With that, we're going to move into item number 4 of this meeting, which is our consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by a roll call vote at one motion as listed. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If further discussion is desired by council members, the item may be removed from the consent agenda to the regular agenda and considered separately. So item A, 4A that is, approval of meeting minutes for April 15th, April 22nd, and May 1st of 2024. Item B, bills and communications approving claims in the total amount of $8,757,145.06. Item C, resolution number 4446, facility lease agreement with Boys and Girls Club of Benton and Franklin Counties. Item D, resolution number 4447, Washington opioid settlements, Johnson & Johnson settlement, and future settlements. With that, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Milne, can I get a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second. That is seconded by Mr. Harpster. Miss Debbie.
Okay, Councilmember Barajas,
Yes.
Councilmember Blaisdell,
Yes.
Councilmember Grimm,
Yes.
Councilmember Harpster,
Yes.
Councilmember Perales,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Milne,
Yes.
and Mayor Serrano.
Yes.
It passes unanimously.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on. That was my bad. I hit the button. Sorry. That's why I gave that to Mr. Milne, so he can hit his button and sound like a steward. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, proclamation and acknowledgements. We have several of these. We have 3. The first one is item A, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I've got a proclamation that I will be presenting to, and I hope I get the names right. I apologize if I don't. To Ella Landon, Lily, Layla Lehrman, Noor Jahan, and Roxana Roach. So if you'd all come up to the mic, or I think these are youngsters, maybe just to the center of the floor. At least some of them are, so the folks can see y'all. I will happily read it, and if you want to speak, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I'll read this, and then I'll come down and present it to you formally. So with that, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, May 1st through 31st, 2024. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander, or AAPI, Heritage Month is a time to recognize the contributions and achievements of Asians from across the Asian continent, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Island descent. And whereas in the United States, Asian Pacific Heritage Week was first celebrated in 1979 and was extended into AAPI Heritage Month in 1992. And whereas the month of May was chosen as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese citizen, Nakahama Monhiro, to the United States on May 7th, 1843, but also the anniversary of May 10th, 1869, completion of the first transcontinental railroad, built in part with the backbreaking labor of the nearly 20,000 Chinese immigrants. And whereas today more than 20 million AAPI members live in the United States, and whereas we celebrate their achievements and contributions, which enrich our history, society, and culture through languages and religions, and makes our community more vibrant, prosperous, and secure. And whereas during AAPI Heritage Month, we acknowledge the additional determination, hard work, and perseverance AAPI put forth to be heard and seen. And whereas the 2024 theme is Advancing Leaders Through Innovation, and encourages local and national governments to prioritize collaboration, development, diversity, transparency, and inclusion through leadership training of AAPI people. And now, therefore, I, Pete Serrano, Mayor Pasco, Washington, do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 31st, 2024 as an Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So, you're welcome to just take this and run. I'll present it to you formally. If you have something you want to say, you're welcome to step up to the lectern. No pressure. You don't have to speak. You're certainly welcome either way. I'll come down and you all do what you want. Now, I'll say this from the mic. If we have other folks who are here to receive this on behalf of the AAPI community, please come forward. We can do the photos, and certainly proud parents, you're welcome to. So I'll talk into the mic. Proud parents, you're certainly welcome to snap some photos here as we present this. Okay. Go ahead and bring the speaker on up. You got to push down on the mic button. It's the gray thing in the center.
Hello, I'm Lillian Lerman, a sixth grader at McLaughlin. Thank you for helping us celebrate the diverse history of the Asian and Pacific Islander community. However, I would request that in the future the city would advertise this event by putting the time and date on its webpage or Facebook that we are having the API celebration. This event and others like it is so important to me and my family. We are so fortunate that we are able to attend, and if the city council advertised it more, maybe more families like ours could find out about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that is duly noted. Mr. Funfar, I know he's already disappeared back into the back, and Mr. Rice, we'll take note of that for 2025. With that, I'll come down and present to you again. Family members, friends, certainly welcome to come on up and receive or take pictures.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No, that's right. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, City staff for putting this on. Thank you to my wife, Kim Lehrman. My name is Scott Lehrman, resident of Pasco for 20 years. Kim Lehrman did a lot of effort for the past 3-4 years getting these beautiful Asian American people here and allies of Asian American people. I myself am half Japanese. Last June, I was appointed to a state commission. We have 12 commissioners for the Asian Pacific American Affairs. David Fongsa is also back here. He's Lao American, is also a resident of Pasco, Franklin County. So you have 2 commissioners on the State Commission for Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs. You have many beautiful people in the city who have Asian Pacific American roots as well. And thank you for recognizing these people. And like my daughter Lily said, just continue to know that there are people, even though that may be in the single digits, low single digits of people who are Asian American. You guys know that some people have Hispanic last names, and we start talking to them and we just understand, and there's many different Asian Pacific Islander community members. So thank you for recognizing us, and we appreciate that recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lehrman. And thank you all for in attendance. As I mentioned to Mr. Lehrman, if anyone would like a copy of the proclamation, we can reach out to the clerk's office and get another one printed. Okay, it looks like we've got one more speaker, and then we will need to move on to the next one.
Okay. Is this on now? Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me speak to you, the council, but I just like to bring up my family's heritage here in Pasco. My grandparents settled here in 1905, actually just my grandfather. And then later, his wife and my mother, who was born in Hawaii, came to live here. They landed in San Francisco on a steamship the day after the earthquake. Can you imagine what Grandma with the little babies? What did Papa get us into now? But anyway, he settled here, worked for the railroad, eventually starting his own businesses. He had many, many businesses. They managed a hotel. They managed a pool room. They had several restaurants, a hardware store. I think there's a photo of it in the Pasco Yokes on the side of the pharmacy. I think that's of the hardware store. And then, of course, they had 9 children. So the Yamauchis expanded all over the country, mostly here in the Northwest. But again, they had 9 children, a lot of history there. We just lost a cousin who was graduated from Pasco, 1959. She was selected as Miss Pasco and also selected as Miss Pasco Water Follies. I don't know if any of you go back far enough to remember the Pasco Water Follies, but that's what was here before the Tri-City Water Follies. And Uncle was very instrumental in getting the Pasco Water Follies going. He was a boat driver, racer. He helped lay out the course at Sacagawea Park. Needless to say, our roots go deep here in Pasco, and the reason I'm here is the mural that was salvaged out of the old bank building on First and Lewis. I understand that it did break, and they weren't able to salvage it, but there are digital pictures, so that with hope that it will be reproduced. And the reason that it was salvaged, it was initially thought that it would go into the new police station. as I understand it. So, again, just to reiterate that our roots are deep, and any recognition, especially my grandfather, because he was known for his artistic abilities. We have other paintings that he did on the outside of some of the restaurants. So, again, if there's any movement towards reproducing that mural, the family would be greatly appreciative. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And I'm sure staff will. Yeah, we can do one more.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Alexandra Naungayan. Yes, Alexandra is also my first name. It's not my middle name. But on behalf of the Filipino American Association, I am beyond honored to be sharing my thoughts with you all today about the theme of AAPI Heritage Month, which is Advancing Leaders Through Innovation. So today, I would like to address what it means to leave a legacy. Legacy is like a halo-halo dessert I ate growing up. It is a concoction of all the flavors of values and principles that create stepping stones for the future. These flavors come from the lens of stories such as those of immigrant families who brave the unknown for a better life and activists who continue to fight for justice. Me and my family immigrated from the Philippines when I was 9 years old to the United States for the American dream, for my parents to be granted increased salaries, and for me to have opportunities in a somewhat better education system. Today, I would like to share the legacy of two Filipino Americans who dedicated their lives tirelessly fighting for the rights of Filipino cannery workers, and as they inspired solidarity in labor unions. Their contributions to labor movements are a testament to the power of legacy as it paved the way for better working conditions, higher wages, and greater protection for workers. Their legacies serve as a reminder that the American dream is a dream beyond landing in the United States. To continue the legacies of Silmy Domingo and Jean Viernes, it is imperative to promote unionization, advocate for policy reforms, and empower the next generation. Advocating for reforms is especially essential to defending the rights of workers. Domingo and Viernes advocated for the anti-corruption and pro-union democracy campaigns to put an end to bribery, violence, and vote buying during Marcos's dictatorship. While advocating for policy reforms, we can make direct provisions little by little. Finally, their legacies are continued to the next generation of labor leaders through conferences like these and organizations that are open to youth. The legacies of Domingo and Viernes gave rise to movements of today, such as the Teamsters for Democratic Union and the United States Auto Workers pushing for union democracies. Their commitment to justice and equality continues to inspire new generations of activists and labor organizers striving for fair treatment and democratic processes within unions and beyond, which is a testament to the power of, again, legacy. Yet, even as we celebrate the legacies of these two Filipino Americans, we must acknowledge other issues that persist, such as barriers to language access, which can be solved by investing in multilingual resources and investing or creating nonprofit organizations that provide translation services for those that cannot afford them. Outside of that, it is also imperative that we recognize the importance of cultural awareness by holding cultural events as a means of spreading awareness, but also respect for our cultures. We are creating steps to change. And while doing so, we are leaving legacy behind. So, think about how you can leave a legacy. Legacy comes in all forms of sizes and shapes. Your legacy could be shaped by the impact you have on others, your contributions to your community or society, and the values that you embody. Like Halo Halo, legacy can leave a lasting, long lasting flavor of impact in future generations. And the impact of partaking in issues related to equity and justice extends beyond the confines of a classroom, which shapes the future where anyone can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those words. With that, we're going to move on to the second proclamation, item B, which is National Police Week and Peace Offers. Can't speak. And Peace Officers Memorial Day proclamation. So, Chief, I'm sure got a couple of extra bodies here. I don't know if you just want to receive it yourself or everyone else.
Yeah, just real quick. Thank you, Mayor, council members, the public that's here today. National Police Week for this year is May 12th through the 18th, 1962. President Kennedy proclaimed that week to honor and celebrate law enforcement and community policing across this country. And then, of course, the solemn day of May 15th, where we honor those who have been killed in the line of duty. But we should think of the week as a celebration. And so as you get ready for the proclamation, I'll just have some of our great staff, our officers, come up and receive that with us. And once again, I have to thank this council for their support and the community, some of those in the audience today, for supporting the police department. Hopefully this week you'll help us celebrate. Thank you.
Sounds good. I'll look for the donut days. I can say that I'm a son of a cop. So with that, I'll read the proclamation, then I'll come down and present to you, and then you can have the wonderful pleasure of taking a picture with me, or just, I'll be far enough so you can crop me out.
Mr. Mayor, that's why you're here.
I know. I put me in the back behind the real tall ones. So with that, as you mentioned, National Police Week is May 12th through May 18th, 2024. Whereas the city of Pasco Police plays an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the residents of the city of Pasco, and whereas it is important that all residents know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifice of their police, and whereas the City of Pasco Police recognizes their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the City of Pasco Police unceasingly provide a vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Pete Serrano, Mayor of the City of Pasco, Washington, call upon all residents of the City of Pasco and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 12th through May 18th, 2024 as National Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our residents may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and the security of all residents. Further, I call upon all residents of the City of Pasco to observe Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled through the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of those fallen heroes. Thank you, and I'll present this.
Mayor, can I say some words? I just want to point out that you are all great officers. I know I've had to call on a couple of you, but I've seen you all throughout the community at events. And I do want to point out that there's one female here now couple years ago, a few years ago, you were involved in a situation to where your life was at risk, and you all are always in a situation to where your life is at risk. So I just want to say thank you so much for putting your lives out there for the community, for the passion that you have for this community, for the Pasco Police Department. Thank you so much. Put you guys in the middle.
I didn't want to leave the other half hanging. I can shake their hand later, but I'm not an amateur. I just go up. Thank you all. Just to reiterate, we greatly appreciate your sacrifice and your family's sacrifice. We know it's not an easy career, especially now. So, like I said, I'm the product of a teacher and a police officer, and they taught me well, and I'm very proud of the service they did to our community. So, God bless you and your families. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to our third and final proclamation. This is item C, Jewish American Heritage Month proclamation, and I'll tell you this, Councilman Harpster had asked if I was interested in doing this, and I said, yes, I'll do it, so I'd happily do so. So with this to receive Mr. Steve Rosenkrantz, if you can, I mean, you're certainly welcome to say something, or I can read this, and if you want to make a comment afterwards, that's fine too. Okay. Jewish American Heritage Month, May 1st through 31st, 2024. Whereas the history, culture, and contribution of Jewish Americans have enriched our society with their traditions, values, and accomplishments, and strengthened the fabric of our nation for centuries. And whereas Jewish Americans have played pivotal roles in shaping the ideals of justice, equality, and freedom upon which our nation was founded, and continue to champion these values today. Whereas Jewish American Heritage Month provides an opportunity for all Americans to celebrate and recognize the indelible imprint of the Jewish Americans have left on our society, from the arts and sciences to business, politics, and beyond. Whereas through their enduring commitment to justice, education, and community engagement, Jewish Americans have helped to advance the cause of equality and foster greater understanding among all people. And whereas the resilience, creativity, and perseverance of the Jewish Americans in the face of adversity serve as an inspiration to all Americans, now therefore I, Pete Serrano, Mayor of the City of Pasco, Washington, do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 31st, 2024 as Jewish American Heritage Month, and urge all residents to join together in honoring their rich heritage and invaluable contributions of Jewish Americans, and reaffirm our dedication to building a future of unity, understanding, and mutual respect for all. Thank you.
First of all, I'd just like to back up and say to the officers here today that there are people in this community that pray for you folks. You know, it's an amazing privilege to be here with the City Council with this proclamation. It is a wonderful opportunity just to go back and to look at the things that Jewish Americans have done. I mean, from the standpoint of even from the underwriting the Revolutionary War in its separation from England to people like Sandy Koufax, to people like Chaim Solomon, that are just knit into this society. And it was just our purpose as Jewish Americans just to participate in the dream that is America, and to find ourselves in such a position where we can we can find a place without oppression, find a place without persecution, and be as a part of the society that we've come to love and to embrace. And then to have this opportunity to speak to the council that has decided that this is an opportunity to reach out to the Jewish American community and say thank you, and we appreciate your part. And we as the Jewish Americans want to tell you, we'll continue to do our part. We'll continue to do what we need to do to make this country to prosper, to make this country to be solid and offer liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much to the citizens of Pasco and to the City Council here of Pasco community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. With that, we get to move into the real fun part of tonight, which is item number 6, executive session. That is discussion with legal counsel about current or potential litigation under Revised Code of Washington, section 42.30.110, subsection 1, Roman numeral I, or 1, and it's to last for 15 minutes. I know we're early, but since we're breaking, does anyone need a quick break ahead of that? We'll tack on 5 minutes, so let's just call it, I can't do math right now, 7:54 we'll return. So with that, we will we'll have a break and be in executive session till 7:54. Thank you. Thank you for waiting around. It is 7:53 and we have 5 more minute extension, so we'll actually be out at 7:59 instead of 7:54. Thank you. It is now 7:59, and we have returned from executive session, and we will move on to item number 7, which is public comments. The public may address council on any item unless it relates to a scheduled public hearing. This item is provided to allow the opportunity to bring items to the attention of city council or to express an opinion on an issue. Its purpose is not to provide a venue for debate or for the posing of questions with the expectation of an immediate answer. Some questions require consideration by council over time and after deliberative process with input from a number of different sources. Some questions are best directed to staff members who have access to specific information. Citizen comments will normally be limited to 3 minutes each by the mayor. Those with lengthy messages are invited to summarize their comments or submit written comments to the council outside of the formal meetings. Lastly, when called upon, please state your name and your city or county of residency into the microphone before providing your comments. With that, ma'am. Not yet. The gray part at the base. There you go. You're
Is it
on.
Okay. I'm Mary Mahoney, floodplain resident at 5017 West Pearl. 3 points. I'm requesting pursuant to RCW 42.56 that the city of Pasco provide to me the permits that were issued by the Department of Fish and Wildlife that has allowed the city of Pasco to take, poach, and or kill 7 floodplain American bald eagles that lived in the floodplain at 52nd and Pearl Street in Pasco. Number 2, I am also requesting a readable map from resolution number 4432 from the Pasco City Council meeting on March 18, 2024, as it pertains to the floodplain at 52nd and Pearl Street and the entire floodplain. Please include a start date for project number 24-593. I'm also requesting the City of Pasco provide to me a copy of the video of the City of Pasco City Council meeting from April 1st, 2019. Pasco City Attorney Lee Kerr stated at that meeting that the Washington State University and Tri-City Animal Control contract had been terminated and that he would provide to me a copy of that termination agreement. I have not received that termination agreement. Mr. Kerr also stated that there would be no due process language protections included in the potentially dangerous and dangerous animal ordinances for Kennewick, Pasco, and Richland. The video of that night on April 1st, 2019 has been deleted from the Pasco archives. This public record request is for the record and to put the City of Pasco on notice. Also, I have time and I will list the floodplain parcels that I am referring to: 119-111-050, 119-111-069, 119-112-031, and those are the floodplain parcels that I have referred to in this comment and public disclosure request. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments?
My name is Tracy Bedard, and I am a resident of Kennewick, and I'm going to be talking about the invasion of Rafah. This is clearly an important day. It is also Holocaust Memorial Day. Today, the Israeli army began a ground invasion of the last remaining safe zone in Gaza, where more than 1 million refugees are sheltering. Israel has threatened for months to invade Rafah, a small city on the southern border of Gaza. While Israeli allies have warned against an invasion, saying it would lead to a humanitarian catastrophe and high civilian casualties. Before this invasion, UN humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths warned, "The simplest truth is that a ground invasion in Rafah will be nothing short of a tragedy beyond words. No humanitarian plan can counter that. We are in a race to stave off hunger and death, and we are losing. From Sunday evening to Monday morning, ahead of its evacuation orders, the Israeli army heavily bombed Rafah, killing 22 people, including 8 children. On Sunday, Israeli officials strategically shut down all Al Jazeera operations in Israel, suppressing the media ahead of the atrocities that are guaranteed to unfold in an invasion of Rafah. According to UNICEF, all of the nearly 600,000 children in Rafah are injured, sick, malnourished, traumatized, or living with disabilities. UNICEF's global spokesperson, James Elder, wrote, "Rafah will implode if it is targeted militarily because there are more than 1.4 million civilians already there, suffering dire conditions. Most have had their homes damaged or destroyed. All have had their coping capacities smashed. There is simply nowhere left to go in Gaza. These 1.4 million people are squeezed into 25 square miles. Compare that to Pasco's 34 square miles with 80,000 people. The area includes the only 2 border crossings that have been partially opened, so no humanitarian aid will be able to get through for an undetermined period. This is an area that is already facing famine due to the blockade. President Biden has previously told Netanyahu not to invade Rafah without a credible and excusable plan to ensure the safety of civilians. On Sunday, Biden again called Netanyahu and reiterated his warning not to invade the city. The U.S. has previously stated concerns with how the weapons are being used. An immediate task force briefed members of Congress last week on how Israel is using U.S.-provided weapons to systematically attack civilians and civilian objects in violation of U.S. and international laws.
Miss, I'm going to ask you to
Okay.
go ahead and either speed real quick.
Okay,
or-
a couple more sentences.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm talking kind of slow.
it's all good.
They reported that Israel's military is showing systematic disregard for the international and U.S. norms. Note grave concerns that the Biden administration is violating the law via a prolonged backing for Israel's offensive and urge appropriate steps to prevent further violations. One more sentence. A city council statement calling for an end to genocide will add to the pressure for U.S. lawmakers to do more than make statements of concern, but to take active measures to end the U.S. support for Israel human rights violations. Never again means never again for anyone.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comments?
Hello, my name is Annabelle. I'm a resident of Pasco, and I am here today on Holocaust Memorial Day to talk about the UN Genocide Convention, which has been ratified by the United States. According to this convention, genocide means that any one of 5 acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a nation, ethical, racial, or religious group as such. Intent is usually the most difficult to prove, but in this case, Israeli government officials, including the president, prime minister, and several other ministers, have made public statements of genocidal intent. On October 9th, the defense minister of Israel said that there will be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel, everything is closed. We are fighting human animals, and we will act accordingly. The Knesset minister of Israel threatened, "You will die, your children will die, your grandchildren will die. There won't be a Palestinian state." Financial minister of Israel has declared that we must obliterate Rafah, Deir al-Baha, and Naseret. The memory of the Alchemites must be erased. No partial destruction will suffice, only absolute and complete devastation. Israel is currently acting out a genocide with at least 4 of the 5 acts listed in the convention. The first act is killing members of the group as such. In Gaza, that is way over 38,000 civilians that have been killed by lethal military force and another 12,000 presumed dead under the rebel. The second act is causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. In Gaza, that means around 70,000 Palestinians have been injured, nearly the entire population of Pasco. And all of the more than 600,000 children sheltering in Rafah are injured, sick, malnourished, traumatized, or living with disabilities, according to UNICEF. The third act of genocide is deliberately infecting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about physical destruction. In Gaza, that means Israel is destroying infrastructure and habitations. 60% of the buildings have been destroyed, 32 out of 36 hospitals are out of service, and the 4 that are in service are partially working. And famine has now set in due to all of the blockades placed in by Israel. The fourth act of genocide is preventing births within the group. In Gaza, that means miscarriages have increased by 300%, and infant mortality is rising due to enforced starvation, lack of health care, and poor hygiene.
I'm gonna ask you to either wrap it up real quick or.
Yeah, just one more statement.
Okay.
Under this genocide convention, ratifying states have these obligations not to commit genocide, to prevent genocide even in other states and countries, to punish genocide, and to enact the necessary legislation to make previous obligations possible. So far, the United States has failed to live up to that, and I'm asking you to write a resolution in support of Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Amber Bruce, and I'm a resident of Pasco. As Israel invades Rafah, violating Biden's red line and killing thousands more innocent men, women, and children in Gaza, many claim this is all about the hostages. So let's talk about the hostages. There are 3 very important things you may not know about the hostages. First, for everyone who believes that Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government are fighting their war in Gaza in order to rescue the hostages, how do you explain the fact that Netanyahu had a chance to bring all of the civilian hostages home right at the very beginning? Chaim Rubenstein, as spokesman for families of Israeli hostages, stated last week, "We learned that Hamas offered on October 9th or 10th to release all the captive civilians in its hands if the IDF did not enter the Gaza Strip, but the government rejected the offer." Second, for everyone who still says, well, Hamas could end this war if they just released all the hostages. Have they paid any attention to anything Israeli officials have said on this subject? Israeli officials have said time and again that the war won't end until Hamas is destroyed, regardless of whether the hostages are released. Prime Minister Netanyahu said on Friday that he would invade Rafah with or without a deal on the hostages. Third, something that keeps being left out of mainstream media, ignored by many who claim to care about hostages, is that the hostages at the core of this conflict aren't just Israelis, they're Palestinians too. Because while we're all aware of the fact that around 250 hostages were taken from Israel by Hamas and other armed groups on October 7th, including, shamefully, children, and around 130 hostages remain in captivity in Gaza, we don't really mention the thousands of Palestinians who have been rounded up, detained, held without trial, tortured, sexually abused, without any charges, let alone convictions, in Israeli prisons. And this is before October 7th. According to Israeli human rights group B'Tselem, on the eve of October 7th attacks, at the end of September 2023, Israel was holding over 1,300 Palestinians as hostages in what they conveniently call administrative detention. Around half of them for a year or more, and 23 of them, shamefully, children. Held without trial, without charge. The reality is that under international law, hostage-taking is a war crime, whether Palestinians or Israelis do it. Just as intentionally targeting civilians is a war crime, whether Palestinians or Israelis do it. So to summarize, the Netanyahu government chose not to accept a deal to release the Israeli hostages. Even if Hamas were to release all the hostages tomorrow morning, Israel has no plans to end its assault on Gaza. And the biggest issue of all, perhaps, the hostages aren't just on the Israeli side, they're on the Palestinian side too. This is a human tragedy. A call for ceasefire is a call to free the hostages, both Israeli and Palestinian ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public comment? Second call.
Excellent. Good evening. My name is Sylvia Howland. I'm a resident of Kennewick, and I'm a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Over the past several months, people have come to council to speak regarding the ongoing war crimes in Gaza aided and abetted by U.S. tax dollars, weaponry, and political backing, requesting that the Pasco City Council pass a resolution condemning the ongoing genocide and illegal occupation of the Palestinian people and to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. We've spoken regarding the upsurge of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism across the nation and how a ceasefire resolution could be a vital tool for messaging to our community members that they are safe and welcome here. We have spoken regarding the intense bombardment of a densely populated area smaller than the Tri-Cities with more than 10 times the population. We have spoken regarding Palestinians of all faiths and creeds being slaughtered while their houses of worship are demolished. We have spoken regarding the Palestinian families who live locally here as valued members of their community who feel unsafe. We have spoken about the apartheid system set up in the West Bank and in Gaza, which is similar to but far more intense than the historical segregation in Pasco that this council has condemned. At the last city council meeting, Mayor Serrano mentioned graciously to us that he listened to our statements, assured us we'd been heard, but that he takes a different position on the issue. So far, this other position has gone unchallenged by other members of the council. Today, we ask, when the council disagrees with calls to end an ongoing genocide, what does that mean? When council disagrees with calls to end a living, breathing apartheid regime, what does this mean? When council disagrees with calls for equality and safety for Jews and Muslims in our own community, what does that mean? The US government is aiding another country wage a brutal war of annihilation that has killed more than 16,000 children, the equivalent of every single child enrolled in preschool, elementary, and middle school across the entire Pasco school district. Every child. To be silently complicit in aiding this war is indefensible, just as it is indefensible to be complicit in a war that has driven 1 million people to the point of famine, children and families scavenging grain and collecting droplets of water from spigots. This is a strategically suicidal war for the United States to continue to support. It is an indefensible one to not stand against. Despite these appearances to the contrary, we do believe that the members of this council do care about equality, about human rights and dignity, about how their tax dollars and their representation is being leveraged politically on the international stage, and about all members of their community. We ask again for members of the council to make this stance clear and consistent by introducing a resolution condemning the genocide and ongoing apartheid in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask for a third and final call for public comment. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is number 8, reports from committees and or officers. My little iPad thing isn't up, so let's go with Mr. Grimm first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me find my spot here. Wednesday, I was at the Pasco Chamber Business Development Committee meeting where Director Gonzalez gave an update on Placer AI. Some people call it Placer AI, and I may have went into that meeting even calling it that before somebody else insisted it was Placer AI. But anyways, it is a digital tracking technology that a lot of businesses and governments use to really track. I'm perhaps one of those people naive enough to look at my phone and say, wow, how does Google know that this store's busy now? Or how do they know there's a traffic jam up there? And really what it comes down to is all of our cell phones and our navigation devices in our vehicles are being tracked by third parties and being sold to, these, technology companies like this, but it's really, they are tools to be used where, we can track for future development. Like, some of the examples Director Gonzalez used was, people coming to and from Peanuts Park. Where are they coming from when they go? Where do they go afterwards? What amenities are they, going for afterwards? What services? And it really, for us, building a city and even people building a business, it's a real powerful tool to know what services and amenities people are looking for and where they're going to get them at. So as far as our future development, and Director Gonzalez also opened it up, to the business community, because it is a very expensive subscription to have, and for businesses to open up staff and this technology the city has for business development or whatever. And I thought that was really great. Later on that day, I was also with Councilmember Blaisdell at the Tri-Cities Legislative Council thank you reception, where we had the opportunity to interact with a lot of our local senators and state representatives. And perhaps the highlight for me was I was introduced to Senator King, who is the ranking member of the Transportation Committee, and I put in every bit of passion and excitement for a Road 76 overpass that I could, and he committed to working with me on that project. And so I look forward to partnering with staff who I've already reached out to for more information and just really going after that project. And also Commissioner Bauman, who I see is in the audience, also wants to help see that project get done. So really excited about that. And then of course I'm looking downwind here at my fellow council members and the Mayor Pro Tem who were present for the Cinco de Mayo parade and opening ceremonies, and I won't steal all their celebration, but just what a real fun celebration of the culture that we have here, and of course the Latin and Mexican heritage that we have in this community. So anyways, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Ms. Barajas.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to share real quick on the note about your phones listening to you. They do capture everything you say, because then you get ads on your Facebook, your Google. So watch what you say. But I do want to share that on the 25th, joined by fellow Councilmember Harpster, I attended the Pasco Prevention Network Coalition. This coalition, I've been part of this coalition since probably like 2009 or 10. They used to be called Pasco Discovery Coalition. This coalition aims to reduce substance use by youth. And annually they do like a report out to the community of everything that they've done. This year they wanted to commemorate their outstanding partner of the year. Thank you, Chief Crowley, for allowing Ben Shear to be part of the coalition. He's been there since way before I started getting involved. He's done a great job, and I'll take this opportunity to invite anyone in the community that wants to get more involved with helping youth, mentor, tutor, guide youth. The Pasco Prevention Network is a great coalition to be a part of, to coach those kiddos that sometimes don't have a healthy venue after school. The coalition does create events for prom, for example, movie night for prom, so that way kids don't go out drinking and driving. So again, you can look them up on Facebook, Pasco Prevention Network. And again, thank you to the fire department. I'll thank you again for allowing Ben to be part of that. We do have Officer Jeff that usually does attend as well. Several other officers have attended in the past, but PD, you're also there in representation again. It's a good guidance for youth to stay away from substances. And I'll let Councilman Harpster add a little bit more of what he learned. But they do meet every second Thursday of the month between 3:30 and 5:30 at the ESD offices here on Court Street. The other thing too I want to share is on the 27th, Dia de los Niños, for all those Hispanics that know what Dia de los Niños is, Kids Day, annual event where it's Hispanic families celebrate their children. So I was at Barbara McClintock reading to the kiddos, joined by Senator Torres was out there as well reading to the kids. So huge celebration. I know Mid-Columbia Libraries also had their festivities over at Memorial Park. So congratulations, kids, for your day. Last mention that I want to do is the Pasco Taco Crawl. I did not go through my booklet, but those funds do go to the Boys and Girls Club. If you've not participated, it's fun. Get together with friends next year for the Pasco Taco Crawl. And I do want to say congratulations to Hochos Tacos for their best taco. And that's all for me.
Trejos one.
Trejos, yes. Trejos. On court. Sorry.
Hochos is good though.
Not even court. I don't even know where they're at. But congratulations to them.
Thank you, Ms. Barajas. I'll just keep going down the line. It looks like the next lit is Mike is Miss Blaisdell.
I want to say kudos to Director Rice and the Parks and Rec and all the committee members that put in Cinco de Mayo. Despite the rain, it was a very well-attended event. My favorite part was the parade. I loved throwing candy to all the kids. And all of the festivities on the stage. So thank you very much for a very well put on event. And one other thing, Councilman Grimm and I went to simulator training last week, and I found that I froze in the different scenarios. My brain, I guess, didn't respond as quickly as most people, but Councilman Grimm had my back. He was responding very quickly, and I was like, can we do this again? So that was kind of an eye-opening for me. And then last Friday, I did a ride-along, so it kind of worked hand in hand together for me. I chose thinking that I would have a slower shift, so I picked the morning on a Monday, thinking I wouldn't see too much of action, I guess, and I saw a lot. And I was very fortunate to be with an officer that is also a trainer, so Officer Santiago. I learned a lot about myself and how I respond to different scenarios at the hotel, but also the situations that they're put into and how they react to different scenarios, as well as paramedics. So I appreciate both the police officers and the paramedics and how they work cohesively as a team together. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Blaisdell. And Mr. Perales to round it out.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I attended my first Scrub Roads Association meeting. We had presentations by the Port of Pasco and Port of Walla Walla. 2023 was a banner year for the Port of Pasco. A lot of things have happened since we last had a meeting. Alaska will start having direct flights to LAX. Avelo is also starting flights to Sonoma. Port is doing a lot of construction in the next year. They just got bids for their runway 1230 shift project. They also discussed the new, they're looking for funding and looking for ways to build that aerospace innovation and manufacturing center there at the port. So that was a very good meeting. I also attended the Benton and Franklin County's Motorola subscriber demo. I learned more about their emergency services radio, services radio systems that our fire department and police officers use, and the new technology that Motorola is going to be putting out. I also talked with Jay Atwood about our 911 system. And they're going to be having someone come to council here in a couple weeks to discuss the current state of the 911 system. I also attended the mobile food truck vendor inspection event they had at Columbia Park Marina. That was really, really cool. I learned just about how they're trying to streamline and simplify the inspection and permitting processes. I talked with the Department of Health. I talked with individuals from Kennewick and Richland. So it was a really cool event, and just learned a lot about what it takes to get those things inspected. There's really a lot of different barriers that the food vendors have to go, but that was something they're going to be doing throughout the year so that people can get their mobile food vendor trucks permitted faster. So that was really cool. And then lastly, I did attend our Cinco de Mayo parade. It was unbelievable. It was such a good time. I mean, I was there from 9 for the parade all the way to almost 8, 9 o'clock at night. Sincere, good job by the Parks and Rec, especially Miss Jesse Rice. I don't know how many miles you ended up clocking. Every time you saw me, you kept telling me, I'm like, gosh, he was just running around there. So thank you so much. And I just want to, I really want a big shout out to Vince Guerrero, who I hear is leaving the city. Gina Vasquez, Gracie Valle, Garencio Felipe, David Cortinez, Land Business Association, all the sponsors. I met so many of the sponsors that showed up there. It was just a great community event. One of the best ones that, in my recollection, I've attended a lot in the past decade, and that was one of the best ones. It was bigger and better. The stage was amazing. The performances were amazing. Thank you to the Mayor Pro Tem stepping up, and he did a good job out there. It was just a really good time, and I think he really set the bar really high, and I can't wait till next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prowse, and Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, thanks for allowing me to circle back this way.
So on the 23rd, Mayor Serrano and myself, we did attend the police training. Somehow he has the nickname Pistol Pete. I still haven't figured out how he got that name, but he's a good shot, so maybe that's how. But we had a good time working together, and I thought it went really well. I only shot one person that I wasn't supposed to, but that's pretty good. I was kind of hesitant and thought he would put the baby down, but he didn't. So anyway, it was all good. So I attended some other meetings, but on Friday the 26th, I did the Arbor Day, and we had a great group of kids. There was like 120 kids out there, and we planted a lot of trees. And we got the kids not to throw dirt on each other and not roll down the hill too much. And so it was a fun day. And then if we go past that, I did the special meeting last week, which I thought went well. But Cinco de Mayo was actually the highlight of my week, giving the speech. And I can honestly say I've never given a speech in front of so many people. There was well over 1,000, or at least it seemed like that to me. So I thought the speech went well, and everything was put on really extremely well. Food was great. The entertainment was great. It was really cool to see all the dancers, and I was really glad I had spent almost the whole day there, not as much as Mr. Perales, but until 6. And I had a great time. And I just can't wait till next year. And thank you for letting me have the honor to give the speech and also be in the parade. It was a lot of fun, and I thought it was a good crowd and good event. So thank you, city staff, and thank you for everybody that had a hand in that. And it went really well, and it was a great reception by our community, and I heard a lot of good things. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Milne, and yes, Pistol Pete is here. I'm the anti-Melissa Blaisdell, so maybe we'll just team up together. She won't do anything, and I'll shoot too fast. I appreciate staff, the community, and the council who were able to attend, especially council who were able to attend in my absence for the Cinco de Mayo. Really wanted to be there. Unfortunately, I had a couple of events that I had to deal with across the state. They were fun too, but not the same as being home to celebrate our community here. So I appreciate everyone that had the ability to step up into that. With that, we'll move from public comments from reports from council members, which is item number 8, into item number 9, which is hearings and council action on ordinances and resolution relating thereto. There are none listed. Moving on to item number 10, ordinances and resolutions not relating to hearings. We have items A and B. Item A is resolution number 4448, requesting an extension of the interlocal and financing lease agreement for the HAPO Center facility until December 31, 2024. And that will be presented by Deputy City Manager Sigdell, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Evening Council. This item is a renewal of an interlocal agreement between Franklin County and the City of Pasco. The interlocal agreement was signed almost 30 years ago in 1994, and it is for operation, at that time, building, financing, and operations of a track, which was as it was formerly called TRAC, and now the HAPO Center. At this time, in your docket is a request from staff to extend this agreement or interlocal agreement from end of May to end of December of 2024. Overall, as I mentioned, the agreement was signed in 1994. The city and the county has collaborated on operating, building first and operating this facility. We share 50-50 of the cost, essentially anything. If the expenses are above the revenue, the county pays half of that and we pay the other half. The county runs the facility, and city essentially does not have an authority on what happens with the facility. Part of that is due to the fact that at the time of when we built the facility, the city did not have the bond capacity to put our basically issued debt in our name. And so an agreement was written as such that the county would be in charge of the facility and have all of the authority to make decisions on it, but that we would share cost of building the facility and operating it. So that has been the main component of how we have run this facility for the last 30 years. There's been not a significant amount of facility improvement since its construction. But recently, a couple of years ago, county invested about $6 million of their ARPA allotment, ARPA grant allotment, to put in HVAC, new HVAC system. The contract itself expires on May 24th, 2024, so in almost less than two or 3 weeks here. Next slide, please. Staff and at staff level, we've been discussing with county staff on how we can move forward in the facility, making sure that we understand the interlocal agreement. As you can see, it's quite old and things sometimes change in operation over the years, and making sure that we're all on the same page. There's also been some council members who have met with some of the county commissioners as well. And one of the ideas for moving forward is master planning effort to make sure that we understand what is the best use for this facility. And that is an effort that the county will be leading and the city will be very much a big part of, to make sure that we have a facility that is fully utilized and brings the best value to the community. So we would like to see that master planning effort be completed so both of the parties can understand what its future uses might be and what our interests would be in that future. So at this time, we're asking for council's approval to essentially extend the agreement to December 31st, 2024, and engage with the county on the master planning effort, which it's a budget that they have that has gone from the city as well over the years, and staff and council will continue to work on figuring out what the path forward looks for this facility and what our partnership looks like.
Thank you, Ms. Igdal. Council, do we have any questions or comments on this issue? We can have the motion. Yeah. Go ahead and make the motion.
All right. I move to approve resolution number 4448, modifying the interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Pasco and Franklin County, Washington regarding the financing, acquisition, and ownership of a multipurpose arena and exposition facility.
Second.
Tie goes to whichever one wants to be on the record.
Second.
Ms. Blaisdell, very emphatically second. Do we have any discussion or comments on this? Mr. Grimm, is that not a?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Just really briefly, want to see this extended. Obviously, there's a looming deadline here on May 24th, and just looking forward to collaborating and really coming up with a, long-term plan on this facility and everything. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. We'll move on to item B, which is resolution number 4449, mutual aid agreement between the Washington State Department of Corrections and Pasco Police Department. Chief Roski.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. This is a renewal of an ILA that we have had for many years. This would serve as additional resources if the traditional mutual aid assets in Pasco were exhausted with the traditional law enforcement agency we had, and we needed some resources, manpower from Department of Corrections. They could muster resources pretty quickly down here under this ILA. So that's all this is a continuation.
Thank you, Chief. With that, Mr. Milne.
I move to approve resolution number 4449, authorizing the city manager to execute a mutual aid agreement between the Washington State Department of Corrections and the City of Pasco Police Department for mutual aid services.
Second.
I'll let
Ladies first.
Yeah, we'll do Ms. Barajas on this one. So we got a motion and a second. Council, any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, passes unanimously. Moving along to item number 11, Lewis Street Overpass Micro Enterprise Business Grant. Again, it looks like we're turning to you, Ms. Sigdell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and evening council again. This is an item that we have been discussing in this chambers for the last couple of months. We also had a special meeting on May 1st, reallocating CDBG funds from Lewis Street corridor 2nd to 5th Avenue. We're reallocating those funds for that project to the Micro Enterprise Business Grant. It was recommended to council by the Planning Commission, and council approved that reallocation. During that time, we had discussed needing to do a motion that sets a ceiling as well as a period within which the grant will be open. So the two motions in front of you are the motions to set those parameters. I will say that I did put in 2 months for the grant application open. I know that there's different ideas that council might have, so a discussion and maybe change to the motion if council desires would be appreciated.
Thank you. So with that, just to be clear, we're going to have 2 motions, 2 votes here. The first will be limiting it to $15,000 per business and the total grant aggregate of $370,000. That's number 1. The second one, once the first is closed, we will have how long this will be open. Presently is written, the closure date is June 30, 2024. We will discuss these separately and vote on them separately. So, Mr. Milne, the first item.
Yes, I move to limit the Lewis Street Overpass Micro Enterprise Business Grants to $15,000 per business and $370,000 in total for Micro Enterprise Business Grant funding.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second by Ms. Blaisdell. Council discussion. Mr. Perales.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll just be really brief. There was a little part of a recommendation by the Planning Commission for us to look for different funding, and I know the city staff is still doing that. But I know one of our goals, and a goal for a while, has been to develop an economic development plan. And I think our body should really focus on that, whether it's, researching emerging markets, the types of jobs available, the skills needed for those jobs, just a really robust plan. Kind of doing our survey of all the resources we have in the community. We have the Small Business Development Center, we have WorkSource. Putting those all together on one house and, having the city be a navigator, I think we need to start looking into that, especially in downtown area now that we don't have the DPDA anymore. I know this is a goal of ours, and I just want to make sure that I say it here on the record that we need to make it a focus. Other than that, I'm in favor of these motions. I kind of want to talk about the second one, and that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion here? Is that discussion or the?
Just a quick question. Can we get an update on how many people have applied?
We have about 7 applications so far.
Okay. Any further discussion on the first vote? Okay. With that, there's a motion and a second on this. Again, this is the first vote, limited it to 15,000 per business and 370,000 in aggregate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Mr. Milne, can you provide a second motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move to open the Lewis Street Overpass Micro Enterprise Business Grant applications for 2 months ending on June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Got a motion and a second from Ms. Blaisdell. Let's let him catch up. Good. Okay. Got a motion and a second from Ms. Blaisdell. Mr. Perales.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a clarification from Deputy City Manager. You had said that some of the money needed to be used in a certain amount of time, because I wanted to change the ending date for the applications, but wanted to get clarification on when that money had to be spent.
Yes, some of our 2021 funding, we have to be spending it by September 30th, so fiscal year. So we would be losing that funding if we're not to, if we extended it out further. So it creates a little bit of a complexity if we keep it open for a year. We definitely can and reallocate funding as we need, but for it to be truly $370,000 of program grant, we would have to do something to kind of, bring in the funding that we lose.
Could someone apply and then provide the documents within a couple months after applying if that's all they needed? I mean, I know there's a couple businesses that need to get some type of information. So if they applied, could the city wait for a little bit, or,
Yeah, are you asking if we would issue the funds before the documents?
I mean, I'd rather have the applicant meet everything, that's why I was trying to look into extending it, but, but if it's not possible, then, if you have to spend a certain amount of money, how much money of the aggregate has to be spent, I guess?
I apologize, I should have checked that.
Okay.
That number does not ring in my head right now.
Because
but
there'd be potential, so we're just trying to look for an ending application date, so by this date, you need to apply, if not, then, So someone could apply and then, I'm sorry, okay.
I just want to make sure you catch it.
Okay, I forget that, sorry.
Yeah, no, I just.
Okay, so I'm just wondering if someone applied in June, if they met everything except maybe an item or two, could their application be on hold until they got that past that June 30th date? And the money would still be there?
I would recommend that we come to June 30th or a little bit earlier than that, and we can report to council on how much funding we've released, and look at how much funding is left, what's the status of the applications, and at that time, if council chooses to extend that, because there are few applications or even one that is on that stage, I would recommend maybe staff come in, update you in the middle of June, and then you take the action in terms of extending it.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Ms. Barajas.
Just a clarifying question. People can get their applications in, as long as it's before June 30th, the processing of this application will take a few days. And they can still come back and submit documentation that may be missing.
Yes, so we would still be cutting checks after the June 30th as long as there's been complete applications. If all of the funding was gone, that would be a risk, but I know that we've heard from many of our business community that it is something that they're struggling to qualify for. So I'm not sure if that would be an issue, but that's definitely something that we worry about of funding drying out. So I would recommend everybody to apply as early as possible.
So again, just wanted to make sure everyone knows and hears this. Make sure you submit your applications for assistance before June 30th. The processing of it and the potential qualifications will be determined after that. But make sure you get your application in there. You just may qualify.
Okay, with that, seeing no further lights, we've got a motion and second. I just saw your hand going there. Okay, all in favor of the second motion to close applications on June 30th, 2024. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay. Hearing none, that too, bless you, passes unanimously. With that, we'll move on to item number 12, new business. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 13, miscellaneous discussion. Mr. Lincoln.
I think Mr. Rice has a couple things to add on about the excitement, and he'll share, I'm sure, but it was more than a marathon that he walked, which was pretty impressive.
Yes, good evening, Council and Mayor. Yes, wanted to perform a Cinco de Mayo wrap-up, per se. Was a wonderful event. Lots of efforts put into there. I believe we have some images to share with you this evening. Of course, we had the parade, the vendors. One of the few things we can control was the weather, but I think we had a very good turnout, and I hope to be able to report on those numbers here in the next couple of days from that technology that Councilman Grimm mentioned earlier this evening. So, but I do want to big shout out to all of our sponsors, what helped enhance our activity and expand it even greater than we were able to do it ourselves, as pictured. And a big shout out to our Parks and Rec staff, many who worked more than 12 hours. We had multiple events this weekend at the Memorial Pool, at the softball complex, so they rotated through and kept those events moving. As noted, I did myself put in a little over 58,000 steps, or 27.2 miles, in my continuing patrolling of the areas to ensure that everything was moving smoothly as needed to go. So I'm hoping to find a shoe sponsor. And of course, we had our first ever use of our own t-shirt launcher, which I think all the council members present were able to get up on stage and launch out a couple of t-shirts. That brought a lot of excitement to the crowd, so we look forward to using that at our other events. We'll probably be creating events just to figure out a way to use the t-shirt cannon. It's probably where we're going to be with that. So, and a couple other things tied to recreation while we're talking. On Saturday, May 11th, we have our first farmers market coming up, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we welcome everybody to come out and attend that. I believe we have about 25 vendors signed up, including our entertainment. So look forward to seeing you there. And then also related to recreation, a small impact to the community. After more than a decade of using our current recreation management system, the one that people log in to register classes, we are upgrading that system to some more modern capabilities to support some of our new events and other things we're planning in the future. So we're going to start that with our aquatics program. So you'll see some social media announcements to the community directing them to a new website so that they can sign up for aquatic specific events. And we'll slowly roll over other activities throughout the summer with probably a full engagement by September. So we'll continue to communicate that with the community so they're able to enroll first for their swim lessons and then our other activities. And I think with that, that is everything I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Lincoln? All right. Anything from Council, Mr. Milne?
I just want to say that I did go over the bridge, the new Lewis Street overpass, and it was a gorgeous bridge. Great view of the Tri-City, or of Pasco anyway. So I don't know how many of you guys got to do that this last week, but it was a lot of fun. So thanks staff for putting it all together, and again, good looking bridge.
I heard Miss Bra say she walked it, but not all 27.2 miles or whatever that was.
No, I was shy 20 miles. No, I'm joking. But I was there when we did the initial walk through the bridge with Adam and some staff. A lot of the staff was out there. Community members were out there driving the cars across it when we the first ride across it. So I was there, walked it, and beautiful project.
Thank you. Mr. Arpster.
Just wanted to mention that National Police Week's timely this year. I think it was Thursday or Friday that one of our officers, Phil Hanks, received the Medal of Honor from Governor Inslee. And I thought I'd just read this quote from the article about the incident that happened about a year ago. It said, according to the SIU's press release, the 38-year-old driver of the car fired several shots through the door of his car towards the PPD officer. The officer was shot in the arm and crawled behind his car to take cover. And so just again, recognize those officers tonight and appreciate this council doing that because they deal with stuff like that, getting shot and then crawling back to their car for cover. And so it was really cool to see our governor and Attorney General recognize one of our own officers with the Medal of Honor. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Arpster. That is a great honor. I know one of my friends, and I see Mr. Grimm, one of my friends in Moses Lake PD also received the honor. He was involved in the Gorge shooting, if you recall that last summer, pretty wild stuff. It's pretty awesome that we have these folks who just want to serve their community in our community and nearby communities who are really, really protecting us, which is where I'm grateful for the opportunity we had to recognize our police force tonight. And again, thank you. And in the fire, we'll get you. Chief Crowley, don't worry, your time's coming. But, that'll be not this Saturday, the 18th. Mr. Milne will do a great job repping that. Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real briefly, I just want to give one last shout out. An event like Cinco de Mayo that was held in downtown Pasco, my default is always going to, that to be community driven. And obviously with everything going on with the DPDA and everything else, that wasn't possible this year. So I think staff needs a huge shout out, especially Mr. Rice, for collaborating with some of these stakeholders and other community representatives to give them a meaningful seat at the table and a position just in the planning, the preparation, and everything that goes into such a big event. And you get too many people in the room or a lot of people in the room, and sometimes it can be difficult to bring something together like this. And so just a huge shout out to Mr. Rice and the rest of the staff for putting this together and involving the community at such a deep level. Very well done. Thank you.
And putting up with us.
Well, that's why I stayed away to make him happy. Well, excellent. With that, seeing no further miscellaneous discussion, that brings us to item number 14, which is adjournment. It is 8:56 p.m. and we are adjourned.